I love prototypes. Don't get me wrong. They can be time consuming. They can be expensive. And I'm going to show you during this video the way I build my prototypes and some other techniques as well. Okay, the first thing you need to realize, there's really two different types of prototypes. The first type is a looks like prototype. It's a prototype that doesn't actually function, but it looks fantastic. And that James is going to show you one on the screen here of an idea of having blue ice and action figures that would go in your lunch pail for kids. It did not work, but it was a looks like prototype. The second type of prototype that I really like is called a works like prototype. And you can make this out of any type of material. It could be rough, it could look fantastic, but it actually functions. And James is going to show you this one up here now. One of my ideas, it was called a storybook wallet. And it was made out of paper, and you could flip the pages and you would actually have a storybook in your wallet. And it's not made out of plastic, it's not made out of vinyl or leather, it's made out of paper. But what's great about it, it did actually function to show proof of concept. And that is called a works like prototype. The type of prototypes that I truly love are the prototypes that I can make out of paper. And I've got some notes here because I've got a lot of information here I want to share with you. I became a paper engineer, and the reason why I like to work with paper, it's easy, it's cheap. If you don't like it, you throw it away, use a little bit of tape, and you can build anything out of paper. And the things that I like to build, and I taught myself to build, was stuffed animals. I could build a stuffed animal, like a teddy bear. I could build it out of paper, then cut the paper later, lay it down on fabric, sew the fabric up, and I would have a prototype. And James is going to show you this little dog I made early on in my career. But it was a great way to use paper and then create a great prototype out of fabric. Now, one of my biggest ideas was called the Spinformation. It was a rotating label. You guys, I made a lot of samples, and I made these samples out of paper. That's right, out of paper. And after I made them, I put a little bit of film around it to give it a little shine, so it looked like it was made out of a plastic or a film. And all the spin label prototypes I made, and I made hundreds and hundreds, they're all made out of paper, and they looked real. So I think that was a great way, an inexpensive way to create prototypes, and I could do it myself. I also realized that I could probably build anything out of paper, and eventually, when I was working and submitting to this one particular company, after I had licensed this rotating cup and canteen, I started building other things for them. And you're going to see this paper plate. It was a functional plate. It had a little character that would run around the plate when you moved it around. It was made out of paper, but it did actually work. So it was a works-like prototype out of paper, but it looked very, very good, especially when you took a picture of it. Now, there's another picture of my very first rotating cup. And it's ugly. You're going to see it there. It's made out of, it's black and white. It's not even very, it's not even very attractive, but it showed how it worked because it was actually a works-like prototype. That prototype alone, I was able to license to a company, and you're going to see the next picture of what it looked like in plastic. And you would spin the outside of that label or that canteen, and Minnie Mouse would change your outfits. But I licensed it just with that very ugly works-like prototype that I showed you a little bit earlier. Another technique to build your prototypes is just out of clay. And there's a type of clay that you can sculpt it, put it in the oven, and before you know it, it hardens up, and it looks pretty darn good. And then at that point, that clay comes in all different colors. I think you can even paint it. It's another great way to build prototypes. Another way that I built my prototypes was that I would take two existing ideas, tear them apart, cannibalize them, Frankenstein them, put them together to create something brand new. And here you're going to see this bubble marker that I created early on in my career. I took a glue stick, took all the glue out, washed it out, and put bubble bath inside of it, and it created a brand new product called Bubble Markers by just cannibalizing two existing ideas. Also, I want to show you this other idea. It was called Food Flight. I wanted to do something fun for kids at lunchtime. So I created an idea. It was a lunch pail for kids that would fold up. So after they're done eating, they could fold it up, put it in their backpack, or they could throw it as a Frisbee. First, I did a sketch, and you can see the sketch there. Then I took a bag that was already being made. I took it, cannibalized it, and designed it in such a way that it was round now. And then now you can see the production model in the next picture over there. So I used a couple different techniques. I did a sketch, I cannibalized it, and then you can see the real deal. Another technique that's extremely popular today is 3D printing. I'm not going to talk a lot about it. Everybody knows everything there's about it. You're going to need some CAD drawings, but 3D printing, if it's a small item, is a great way to build those prototypes. Silicone molding. I think this is also a great technique. You learn as much as you can about it on the internet. What I like about it, once you make the mold, you can pop out as many as you want, which is really cool. And then you can paint them to look really, really great. So I really like these silicone molds. It's more of a looks like than a works like, I think, but it's still a great technique. Vacuum forming. I've never used this technique before. It looks extremely cool. There's an example there you can take a look at. You can read as much as you want about that type of process. And I think the machines that do this is fairly inexpensive as well, but it's a great way to build a prototype. Okay, here's the number one way I think to license ideas today. I don't think you need to make a physical prototype at the very beginning. What I think you need to do is create a 3D computer-generated rendering. It's that looks like prototype we talked about at the very beginning. And if there's enough interest, once you put it on a sell sheet to show to a company, and if they want proof of concept, that's when you build your works like prototype. Fantastic. What a great way of spending your time, not spending a lot of money, to see if you get interest first. And some of these 3D computer generated renderings look so real, you think you can buy it now. And James, thank you for putting that up on the screen. Photoshop. One of our coaches, Courtney, she's fantastic. She's learned that you can take 2 photographs on the internet, combine them together, Photoshop them together to create something completely new. And I think it's really smart. I think it's really fun. That's another way to build a, looks like prototype, pretty easy, and you can do it yourself. I've seen a lot of products get licensed this way, just with a drawing. That's all it is. A good drawing, they can build it, they know how it's going to function, everything else just by the drawing. And you can see that, a drawing, and see the real thing. Keanu's one of our coaches at InventRight. He just came on. He licensed, with this technique, 40 knife designs to 10 different companies in 2 years. He didn't even build a prototype. He used CAD drawings to show a company what his knife designs were going to look like, and that's all he used. So it was a great way to kind of show, right, what his vision was. And that's how he took his vision and brought it to life with a CAD drawing. The latest thing, which is really fun to do today, and it's the hottest thing that's happening, is creating an idea using ChatGPT. That's ChatGPT. And if you don't know anything about it, look on the internet. It is exploding. You can type in certain words, and within seconds, this AI, bot, or whatever you want to call it, is going to build your idea within seconds, and it's going to look great. And you can see an example of it there. What I like about this, what we just talked about, I can build a sell sheet. I can use ChatGPT, or I could build whatever I'm building, and I can put it on a sell sheet, as you see down below, and it looks pretty darn good. There's so many different ways for you to build prototypes. I love prototypes. So hopefully this video has been exciting. Hopefully this video has shown you a couple different ways to bring your ideas to life, because who doesn't like to see what's up here and show others? It's a great way to license your product ideas.